Hello and welcome to the LCS Report Worlds Edition, second last episode. Where Worlds was pretty quick this year, but it's been exciting. It's nothing if exciting, obviously with the results yesterday and then today. Pretty much what we expected happened, where Top Esports tried and T1 were just better. I did give Top Esports a game because I thought maybe they'd find a way to get a single game, but I think after game one, you knew that Top Esports weren't gonna fight. And to their credit, they did like not really mental collapse like they normally do. They didn't win a game. They struggled, especially that draft for game three. But I think they tried, which is more than what we can say last year. I think last year was complete destruction. Obviously, like kudos to T1. This is their fourth final in a row. It is incredible. I mean, basically the same four players have made four finals in a row. I mean, I don't even think you could say that about just domestic titles, where you keep the same roster over and over again and make it to finals over and over again. It's going to be a very exciting finals. But to speak about Top Esports and their struggles throughout the year, Top Esports actually finished. They won split one and had an abysmal first stand, and then they had a pretty bad split. Well, they had a regular season where they were fine, and they had a bad playoffs. I think they finished fifth and sixth. They bring it all the way back to make it to LPL finals, go 2-2 in Swiss stage, and make it to the semifinals after beating BLG. Like, this team has went through so much hardship. And yes, they lost to T1. Yes, like LPL doesn't beat Faker. But at the end of the day, like, it does say a lot about the level of resilience that this team had to go through. And I don't think they would have had this level of resilience last year, to be honest, in order to do what they did. So there is something to say about, sure, they didn't make finals, sure, they didn't win worlds, sure, they didn't win first stand, but at the end of the day, I think overall their performance this year was better than last year. And I think that Kanavi performed as one of the best junglers in the world for most of the year. Um, Even this tournament, he was having good early games. It's just, I saw a stat. I was a little annoyed that broadcast showed this, but they were like comparing Kanavi and Owner in the first two games. And I'm like, yeah, when your team is losing, like, what are you supposed to do? Why don't you compare the first 10 minutes? I think that's a more accurate, before the game kind of collapses. But I just want to give like Kanavi 369, even Jackie left to some extent, their flowers, because they went through a lot. It is very difficult when the entire community is up against you. It is very difficult when you're just being hated and nothing is expected from you, and you have these mental issues of collapsing to show up and make it to the semifinals. So kudos to them.
And I think this is just the unfortunate state of the LPL because outside of AL, the LPL didn't really show up at the World Championships. If we're being completely honest with you, IG they made some more of a series against T1, but other than that, um, like they eliminated immediately, and then BLG with BLG, like outside the drama, they just weren't at the races at all, and top top were kind of like weird team. Like they had like the good start, but obviously it was against G2 and 100 Thieves, and then when they had their first challenges against Eastern teams, like they lost to KT and they lost to who am I thinking of? Who did they lose?
They lost to KT and to Genji.
Yeah, right. So like no two teams to like scoff at, but you're really hoping for a team that did have higher aspirations that they would have performed better at this World Championship. I think it just shows how far ahead career is at the moment. That obviously, with how things panned out, could have had four LCK teams in the at the top four. That would have been absurd. But alas, I think I just think the LPO have a lot to do now to catch up to the LCK. And I think you could have made the argument, well, how would AL have gone in the losers bracket? But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that. The idea of like LCK was strong this year. I do think honestly, like you're saying, AL probably could have been in that top four mix. Like they did take T1 to 5, right? And who knows if they would have been like a Hanwha Life or a Genji, or even a KT. Like we don't know, but we can actually talk about KT and T1. This is the
Yep.
first time KT make it to the finals. This is the first time we're getting a telecom war. in Worlds Finals. This is incredible. One, it is in China, so it's a little sad that we have two Korean finalists in not Korea, but they're the best two teams in the world right now. So it is it is fitting that after all these years throughout the career, we actually have never had this, and now we have it now. BDD for 8 or 9 years, just struggle after struggle. I don't know if you saw the tweet, but right before he went on to do his like on stage interview, he just kind of burst into tears,
Yeah.
and they were just like, "It's fine, take your time." But it's like that's 10 years of emotions, 10 years of failure and struggle and pain, and like when you finally reach the pinnacle of what you've been trying to do. When I mean that Gen G win was not an easy win, right? Sure, games 3 and 4 were like all KT, but like games 1 and 2 were nail biters, and you going into that knowing that this Gen G is like undefeated, or they lost what, 2 best of 5s the entire year, like favorites to win worlds, just beat Hanwha Life, who look like an incredible team as well. Like there is a lot of stress and pressure, and to go through that with rookies, just and to outperform Chovy, forget that Chovy choked, just to play his Yone game 1, like everything about that series must have been very cathartic to finally realize your dream and making it to finals, and doing what honestly no one predicted would happen. So I mean, just like we give flowers to those who lost for making all of the way, the BDD and Cuz deserve. I mean, we talked about this last episode, but they deserve everything they're getting. They tried so hard and for so long. And the people that are saying like, "Oh, players like Chovy should just retire. They're never going to make it." Like BDD took 9 years to make it here, right? Chovy has not been playing as long as BDD. So I think there's something to say about like that level of it. It's more sweet. The fruit is a little bit more sweet the longer it takes to ripe, the longer it is in the oven. And for him, for this specific finals, no one would have expected this finals. I didn't even have them making out of Swiss stage. But for it to get here is honestly like a proof of resilience by him.
And the thing is now is that they are technically facing an easier opponent in finals. The difference is these 4 players that you said about, it's a different type of pressure now. Like, yes, if you were taking away all the hypotheticals, taking away like the stage, taking away like the trophy and everything else, you would say actually on paper maybe KT are the like somewhat the favorite going into this, like based on like, they smacked Gen G, and now you're facing a team that is considerably weaker than Gen G. Like, no matter what like we can say about T1, they are a weaker team. It's whether whether KT can now handle a different pressure, because these T1 players have been here before. The only player that hasn't is Doran. So maybe you try and target top lane. I don't know, but the thing is, like, it's such a big moment for them. They can't take their foot off the gas now that they've got here, because they do have a legitimate chance of winning. It's just like we've seen T1 time and time again pull off bullshit moments in finals where they shouldn't have won. You can even look back to last year. Faker in Game 4 with his Silas play, that won them the world championship in my opinion. That play, it wasn't Game 5 where he flashed in Galio. It was the Game 4 where he put the team on his back to win them game.
Yeah, I mean I'm with you there. This the level of clutchness that this team has, where when it matters, they show up at the biggest stage in front of all the fans. It's unprecedented in League of Legends. It really is. So it is very nice to see that this team didn't win MSI. This team didn't win anything this entire year, and now they're here again, and they're fighting for another trophy. So I'll let you start with your predictions. But what do you think is going to happen in those finals?
I think I think it goes to 5 games,
Oh, it has to. If it doesn't, I'm going to be so sad.
and
I think it's 5 as well.
I'm gonna I'm gonna say 2-1, 3-2. I think while AL, no, while KT did beat Genji, I'm still thinking back to that first game where like what would have happened in that series if Genji did not completely toss it. And I don't think T1 are going to, because this T1 is obviously not choking. They're in final form, like they're in championship form. They're not going to make the same mistakes, and they're going to create their own like. And the thing is, the world championship is not going to be won in the laning phases. It's going to be won by like the moments in between where you don't expect the fight's going to happen, and then a fight breaks out. That's where T1 have won their world championships. Is they're crazy outplays and like the team fights within like objective play. That's where they've won worlds. It's not, they don't win it through laning phase. So even if KT get a lead, I still expect T1 to create moments in every game.
No, I mean also like the amount of um comfort that these four players have. Like obviously Dorn hasn't been there, but I don't think there's ever been a player that's made it to four finals before. Like forget winning. Besides this, like T1 basically, I don't know if there are players that have made four finals. Bin hasn't made four finals. Xiaohu hasn't made. Uzi hasn't made four finals. Like these legendary players haven't made that many finals, and so I definitely think there is an advantage to having been there before, to having done that before. I think Beryl is the closest with three, if I'm not mistaken. Like I know he won three of them, or did he win three? I think he won two, but he made it to three. But yeah, just like making it to finals is already so difficult. And um, yes, like KT have a lot of momentum. Yes, they showed up when they needed to, when no one expected them to. But I don't know if the lights are going to be too bright. I don't know if these rookies who've never been there before are going to be able to win. You know, like remember 2022 T1, they didn't win. Like, yes, they made it to the finals. Yes, it went to game five, but like they didn't have that factor where they were even with Gumayushi stealing that Baron in game five. Like it was an incredible series. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
at the end of the day, someone else clutched out that series. Someone else did, and you can be a great team like KT, but sometimes, man, sometimes just that it factor you don't have it. Having said all that, I'm gonna predict KT 3-2. I think they take it. I think they take it. I was
I
playing
hope so.
devil's advocate,
I hope so.
but I like look. I'm a Doran fan. I would love Doran to win. My heart is telling me, oh, I want Doran. Like I would like to predict T1, but I don't know, man. There's just something about this KT team that makes it feel like they know what they're doing. They know why they're here, and they're gonna do it. If I look at like their drafts, I thought they had incredible drafts going in up against Gen G. They got exactly what they wanted. Actually, one of the things that Keen said was like they were just better prepared than us. They like our drafts weren't that great compared to theirs. I think their prep is incredible. I think that's one of the weaknesses of T1. I know they've been picking the Mel and the Ash. Like they've changed up how they do their drafts. They're winning on Kaisa now. But overall, I think KT is going to come in very, very well prepared. And I think the nice thing about KT is that they throw punches, man. This team, I literally said it against Gen G. I'm like, look, I think Gen G are going to win, but this KT team is going to come and they're going to throw their fists. And if you're not ready, which I think T1 will be ready, they can catch you off guard. They can definitely. I mean, I'm not even thinking of the Kenyan play where on Vi he ults under tower. I'm thinking of the top lane tower where Yone just like makes that incredible play to catch them and basically bring them back into the game. Like these level of like clutch plays is something we expect from Faker. We expect from T1. But the fact that KT are doing them too, that gives me some reason to believe that I think they can take it.
Maybe. Like I don't have much else to add on that. Like I think all the pressure lies on T1
Oh, for sure.
because this would be an historic. Like they already made an historic going back to back first team to ever do it. Like no team is doing a three-peat. I think in the history of League of Legends again. So like you're just cementing yourselves as like the greatest core of all time. And the thing is,
Oh,
they
definitely.
are to me they're the Real Madrid of esports. Where so in soccer, Real Madrid, you'll always come into the tournament thinking they're hot garbage. They don't look good, but they like if you look at the results at the end of the tournament, they won. Like they're the exact same in the Champions League. Like it happens every time. They're always going to go far. And like it's the
There are
exact same with T1.
super teams that you're like, oh, they're gonna win this year. It's their team, and then it's just Real Madrid all over again.
Exactly. Like they have a way of like it's in the culture. Like they have a winning culture when it comes to worlds, and like that's why I always will not like go against them because until that culture starts going away, like I can't bet against them. So I'm gonna go T1 3-2.
I mean, you make sense. It is hard, like, to bet against them, but I think this KT team is the team that's gonna do it. I honestly thought it was gonna be BLG last year. I thought from like just like the semifinals, I really thought BLG was gonna be the one to win, even though like T1 obviously beat Gen G in the semis last year. But I really thought they were gonna do it, and they were close, but no cigar.
I will say I would maybe be in favor of KT if T1 had not already lost to DRX because this core outside of Faker has understood what it means to lose a Worlds final, and since then they've never experienced that again. So like they've only experienced winning from that moment. So now they are like mentally prepared to if they have to go the distance they will. And like you saw it in the series against Weber, they just stopped them because I felt like that was their like they had no pressure on them in that finals, even though like Webu had like the momentum, like the Deshai form was back. They were stomping BLG, who was meant to be in the finals, and then you go to Game 5 against BLG, who again were like probably the favorites in that finals. They were able to clutch up because they had already had that experience from 2 years ago of not clutching up for when it mattered most.
Yeah, I mean, not just that. If I want to bring back the 2022 roster, they won spring. They were expected to win spring. They won spring, went to MSI as first seed. They lost. They didn't even make it to the finals of MSI. They lost in third place.
Mm-hmm.
Am I? No, that's 2023. I'm so sorry. In 2022, they won spring. They made it to MSI finals. They lose a 5-game nail biter. They go to summer. They lose to Gen G, upset victory in the finals, 3-1 if I'm not mistaken. They go to Worlds. They make it to Worlds finals. They lose again. This was at that time we were saying this is the most unclutched team because in 2023 again, they go to finals. They lose to Gen G. They go on to MSI. They lose in third place spot to BLG. They go to summer. Again, they lose to T1. Like, up until 2023 Worlds Finals, this T1 team had only won one domestic split. They made it to finals so many times, and every single time they failed. And we were saying, is this the least clutch T1 roster? Is this a team that just chokers? Are they always going to lose finals? Can they not actually lift the trophy anymore? Like, how do you make it to 6 finals and only win one with this roster? And then what happened? They won, and then they won. And now we're just like, okay, they have 2 world championships. Is this the most clutch team out there? And it's amazing how narratives are rewritten. And this is also like to the Chovy narrative. Like, yes, he's lost in semifinals like what 2 years in a row now. He's either been knocked out in quarters or semis over and over and over again. We can say he's so unclutch. But what happens when he starts winning his championships? And we're like, this is the best player in the world. This guy's the most clutch. Like, narratives change based on what's happening today, not in the future. So I think that if T1 can reverse that narrative and now be seen as the most clutch team in the world, I do have faith for Chovy as well.
Yeah, I have nothing more to add. Like I think we've pretty much covered all the finals.
Now, speaking of Chovy, I made a tweet. I had an interview with Keen, and I made a tweet, and the tweet goes something like, "Oh, I asked Keen about Chovy choking, and this is what he said," and then I post what he said. Now, just like the tweet blew up. People are very upset. Why would you ask Keen about that right after he lost? Like, what kind of a question is that? Can you read the room? Like, this is a losing interview. What the hell are you doing? To be honest, I kind of agree with them. Like, I didn't ask that question, just to be very, very clear. If you watch the interview, like, no one that watched the interview actually was like, what is this guy asking? Like, I in general, loser interviews are very difficult, but I think I did a very good job. I do a very good job with my loser interviews. And like in general, the people that watched it, if you just look at the YouTube comments, people are like, thank you for the interview. Like, it was difficult. Thank you for like talking to him about this or asking him this. last year after they lost to T1, I actually had a Keen interview, and like I think it's probably one of my best interviews that I've ever done. I think a lot of Gen G fans actually believe that too, which is nice to hear. That like it's not just myself; it's other people are like, I didn't know this about Keen. Thank you for like bringing that up, and thank you for like doing the interview. So, anyways, my tweet was pretty bad. I'll say that much. But the interview was fine. It did cause a little bit of drama. By a little bit, I mean like people were trying to hack my Twitter account and giving me death threats and whatnot. But I will say this, for how crazy like the community can be in general for most people. Like I was on Twitter for like hours just like responding to people and kind of just explaining that yes, I messed up, but like here, like look at the actual interview. That's not what happened. Like Hina's fine. Um and people are for the most part like, oh, okay, like just don't tweet like that again. And like I will say, for as much as the Korean fans and like LCK fans get a hate, even the people that did send me death threats, like after just messaging them, they apologize. Even people who didn't give me death threats, like a lot of people are like, go off yourself, or like, if I find you, I'm going to do this to you. And then after talking to them, they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I kind of got caught up with the drama, but I hope you interview him after he wins next year. And it's nice to see. I will say, like, I've actually gotten so many people messaging me being like, oh, I hope this doesn't affect you. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like completely fine. But I like, and then I went and I just looked at all the messages, like from a blank perspective. If this happened to someone else and I saw all of the hate that they were getting, I'd be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry that you're like going through this, right? Um, but I guess when I'm going through it, I'm sort of very detached from like what people online say. If people say I suck, I don't care, and if people say I'm the greatest thing ever, I don't care either. I'm very detached that way. I have a very specific way of like looking at the world, and that is who I am. So it's like it's one of those things that doesn't affect me the way that maybe other people would be affected. So I am grateful for that, but at the same time, it's like I didn't realize until people were like messaging me of like, "Are you okay?" I didn't realize that there was hate because I was just like talking to people. People were angry. I'm like, "Oh, it's fine. Let me explain it." People were like, "Oh, okay," and like I was having relatively reasonable discussions with people who were like aggressive, and then now that I look at it, I'm like, okay, I can see how many people are telling me to like go off myself, and like I can see that being hate. Oh, I see it.
Yeah, I think it's tough because I think, and I even personally said this to you privately, like, I think maybe like the tweet should have been edited. I didn't realize that. I actually didn't personally realize that you can only edit within the first hour of tweeting. I didn't realize that as a thing, and I think by that point, I don't think a further tweet would have done any good. I think obviously it just
I did make a further tweet. Actually, it didn't do any good.
right. Like it's tough because I haven't personally been in that situation where like I've caused a storm online and then you're getting. I think I would have obviously handled it probably like worse in the sense of I would have probably taken it more to heart. But that's just like me as a person as opposed to who you are. And I think yeah, it's just I think yeah, it was a poorly worded tweet, and my message to everyone is to always just be critical but be nice. Like these are human beings that they make mistakes. If you want to be critical and say like oh Riot should not have certain like what they should have more criteria for people that interview at World, fine. If you want to have that opinion of any one of us or like that's absolutely fine. Like we're not here to. It's an open forum at the end of the day. The problem is you need to also treat people with some respect, and if they've made a mistake, just tell them. But you don't have to be like telling them to kill themselves or make threats. Like we are human beings, and if like and Cloud's opened up to his mistake, and he will learn from the future. Like and that's all. But I won't. What I won't have is people trying to take away what Cloud means to the LCS community because he is one of the hardest working people in this scene. He is really, really trying to make a career of himself for like himself as an interviewer. He does amazing interviews and like he does that not for money because he's not earning any like really any money from it. He's doing it because he loves it. And I think people just need to be a bit more. They need to be critical, but also think before they tweet because I was going to tweet at the time. It's just I didn't want it to be like blown up again. But you need to be, if you want to be critical, that's absolutely fine. And I do value actual community criticism. It's just I think it, unfortunately, on the state of the internet, it always goes way too far.
Yeah, I will say actually a couple things to what you mentioned of like the type of response. There was more like drama that we didn't, or I think maybe we talked about it briefly, where someone like had an interview with Carrie and it went pretty poorly. And people are comparing me to her, and I'm like, okay, it's very, very different because one, she lied to the player, she lied about the player, and then she like didn't own up to her mistake. She actually was just, anyways. It's I'm not trying to like tear her down to put myself up or anything like that. But if you look at my response, it was I pointed out what she did wrong, and I asked her to do better. And there was no insult. There was nothing like derogatory. It was, hey, look, I'm a content creator too. You shouldn't be doing this. Like, I don't think lying is going to make things any better. I hope that you improve, and here are like some aspects you can work on. And there are some people who like actually messaged me and was like, "Hey, I saw your tweet. You should probably do it this way." People I've never met before, but like they were pretty nice about it, and I think that's fine. Like you can be angry at me for making my tweet. I completely agree. You can be like, "What the hell was that? Don't do that, dude. Like that's unacceptable." That's fine. It's when you go out of your way to like threaten with violence and like asking like the blatant rudeness. Like it just doesn't do anything. And thank you TFG for saying like I'm the nicest guy, but I legitimately am just a nice guy. And so like in my responses, I'm not fighting back. I'm just talking to people. And I find that when I approach people to as like just talking to them, they talk back. They remember that there's a human being that's doing what that's there. So I will say like despite the amount of hate, I've seen a lot of love. And like you said you messaged me privately. Even TFG, like he messaged me privately. There have been a bunch of people that have like DM'd me, and it's nice to see that people are like, hey, we know who you are. Like we actually watched the interview. Like we see what happened. Like, maybe word your tweets a little bit better. They give feedback and they show their support. Like that's been I've been very appreciative. There have been a couple people who like in the comments are like responding to people, and it's like, dude, if you watched any of his stuff, you'll know. And it's nice to see that people are like um have faith in your character. Obviously, most people don't know me, so like I understand where that's coming from. But the other thing is like you said, you think I'm a really good interviewer, and I really appreciate that. Like that means a lot more to me when I see a tweet of saying like, "Oh, you're crap" or "You're good." I don't really value that because I don't know this person. I don't know what they're talking about. Like it's very, I don't. I guess I don't see myself in that way. But the people that I actually matter, the people that I talk to, the people that I know, when they have an opinion, like I've gone to you before and asked for your advice in certain things. So that does mean like matter to me, and I think that I've been working very hard to like improve in my interview. So thank you for that. And yeah, like I said, I'm not like affected negatively or anything like that. So we're chilling.
Yeah, which
World's finals, man. I'm There's a watch party in New York. I think there's probably going to be a bunch of pop-up watch parties. I'm not going to be there, unfortunately. It is in the middle of the night and it's on a Sunday, so it's like really hard to like just to go. But I'm excited. I'm excited for World Finals. I I think this is going to be like 2022. Okay, 2022 we had a 3-2. 2023 we had a 0-3 or 3-0. 2024 we had another 5 game series. And I'm hoping that we don't get a 3-0. We get a 5 game series. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting finals. And I know like last year's was one of the most exciting finals, and 2022 was one of the most exciting finals. I think this is going to be an incredible finals either way. And I'm just hoping that everyone enjoys, everyone watches the games, and like, yeah, this is the peak. This is what we waited the entire year for. So I'm really excited.
yeah, definitely. I think I really hope it's going to be 5 games. I really don't want it to just be like a quick Dross 3-0, but either way, it's still World's Finals. I'm still going to be hyped for it either way.
Yeah. Give me something like AL versus T1. Give me that like 30 minutes in, you have no idea who's gonna win. Like give me something like that.
Yeah,
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah.